Are we really set to break the January window by securing the hottest striker in Europe right now? Today, my friends, I don't know what I was attempting then. In my head, it was making sense. Yeah. Pretend you never saw nothing, my friends. You know what I'm about to say right now. Hit that like button, show some love, and let's break down the reports today. Let's start things off by discussing some interesting news involving Ferguson of Brighton, because reports from the Telegraph have stated Brighton now are open to making Evan Ferguson available on loan in January. Now, he only signed a 6-year contract extension last year, and Brighton are valuing him at around £60 million. Now, what makes this news quite interesting is that we do know that he has been on our long-term striker shortlist now for quite a few seasons. Obviously, Winsley and many of the guys that we've acquired from Brighton are going to be very familiar with his game, and he joins alongside other strikers we've looked at, including Osimhen, Isak, Gyokeres, Liam Delap, plus a host of other strikers. Is there an amazing opportunity here to strike some business and secure Evan Ferguson? Well, it does make a lot of sense as to why Brighton now want him to go out on loan. He isn't better than Welbeck, Reuters, or the brilliant Joao Pedro. And if you guys have been watching me for a long time, you know I've been saying Joao Pedro is that guy, and he is proving it even more this season. So realistically, for a young guy that has been very unfortunate with injuries, he's missed out on a lot of crucial minutes at a very key developmental stage in his career right now, it only makes sense that Brighton now want him to safeguard himself, start playing football preferably week in, week out, because at Brighton, they're a selling club, and every season they need to have that next big guy on the conveyor belt. So I guess in an ideal situation for Brighton, Ferguson goes out on loan, bangs in a few goals, finds his confidence and form again, and is ready for next season to replace Danny Welbeck. So for those reasons I've just said, it does feel like ideally Brighton don't want him to lose any value. So let's say hypothetically we decided to make a move for him and go for him on loan. Is that necessarily going to help his development when he's already struggling for minutes at Brighton? You'd imagine he'd struggle for even more minutes if we were to acquire him in January. I mean, let's keep things a bit real right now. If I was to say to you, of course, it's like 20 minutes ago, we need to bring on like another offensive option. Would you rather see Nkunku or someone coming on, or Evan Ferguson? I'm sure some of you guys might go for Ferguson, but most of you are going for a Christo Nkunku, right? And right now, the kid is talented. You know, we can't forget that hat-trick he scored against Newcastle last year, but that's a long time ago, and things constantly change in this game. And I just don't feel like we are the best environment to really cultivate that type of talent, to get anything out from him. I think ideally he steps down to the Championship, or he goes to a bottom half club that desperately need a striker. Unless we're able to secure Ferguson on loan with an option to buy or a guaranteed option to buy at the end of that deal, I don't think Brighton are going to be that interested in loaning him out to us. And to be honest, if I'm Ferguson, I'm not even thinking about getting a loan to the Premier League. I'm looking abroad. I'm going to Serie A, or most preferably, I'm going to Germany. I'm playing for a team that will utilize me. I'll be learning, growing as a person, and playing week in and week out. I think this story is interesting because it essentially confirms the fact that Brighton now have told the market, listen, Ferguson is available, make of that what you want, but our guy is here for you if you need him at your disposal. For myself, for someone that hasn't played as much recently, that's only made one start this entire season, for him to be like the main number 2 alongside Nico Jackson, I think that's doing way too much. I don't think for his development right now, going to a club where the pressure is even higher, where you can't afford to make any mistakes, where people are ruthless. I mean, look at how we treated Nicolas Jackson last season. I just don't feel like Ferguson is a serious option for us to turn to if we hope to secure Champions League football. So they're only my opinions. I'm only a simple human being. Share your opinions below. Are you down for this deal? Does it make sense for you? Or do you actually not understand things and you feel like this is not the move for us to make in the January window? Now, my friends, we discussed one of the interesting, big breaking stories today, and it involves That mask man himself, you know what, I need to just give up doing it. I can't help it though. I feel like that celebration, it might even edge out the Cole Palmer Burr celebration if I'm being real with you. But today, records in Portugal have revealed that we are one of the favourites right now. We are leading the race to secure Victor Gyokeres in the January window. Now, let me break down this story before I share my thoughts and opinions, but essentially the report suggests that we are looking to intensify our efforts and push as the leaders to secure Gyokeres by attempting to make a £75 million bid in the January window to secure his services and allow him to remain on loan at Sporting Lisbon until the end of the season, where he would join us in the following window. Now, strategy-wise, that makes a lot of sense. I've been saying recently, we splashed over the odds to sign Enzo Fernandez, where there was a deal in place to sign him for £88 million for a great structure if he had just waited 6 more months. Is this proof that we are starting to learn from our mistakes? Well, there is more to this story. It has been revealed that there is currently a £100 million release clause attached to Victor Gyokeres' name. However, from next summer, it's believed that his release clause drops to around 60 to 70 million euros. That's around 50 to 58 million pounds. So technically, if we're coming in January paying above the odds, knowing that this is one of the big key times of Sporting Lisbon to secure maximum money and funds with Gyokeres, is that the type of deal that they could say no to? Especially considering that this interest could force other clubs to make bids for Gyokeres in the January window. That could create a bidding war, and maybe Sporting are earning even more money than this potential release clause devalue in the summer window next year. Who knows? It's something interesting to think about, but to be honest, with Sporting Lisbon's football ambitions, they're performing very well in Europe. They're doing very well domestically. The only way I see Sporting Lisbon even considering selling Gyokeres in the January window is if Gyokeres decides, you know what, I want this deal and I have to secure my future right now. But even then, Gyokeres will be one of the hottest strikers, one of the hottest players in general in world football next summer if he remains at Sporting Lisbon, continues his amazing form and assesses every single option next year. With Ruben Amorim now leaving Lisbon to sign for Manchester United, Amorim was one of the key crucial guys that secured Gyokeres' services at Sporting Lisbon. I'm curious as to whether Amorim's exit may force Gyokeres now to reconsider his future in more clarity and detail in the January window. Who knows? I think this report is quite interesting. I think Record in Portugal, I think they're a pretty credible source. I mean, I can't forget all their reports around the Enzo Fernandez saga all those years back. So when they report things, I don't just dismiss it instantly. I do think there is something to these stories a lot of times because they're very reputable in my personal opinion. But I look at Gyokeres, I think to myself, it's interesting that most clubs didn't decide to make, very aggressive moves for him last summer. In a way, I can get it, of course. You only signed from Coventry like a season ago. You want to assess him for another season, especially considering that his release clause is that high regardless if you made a move for him last summer or for the following summer. So I can understand that, but I do think that Gyokeres now has gone to a new level. He's gone to greater heights, and normally when I see players scoring more goals than actual appearances they're making, that tells me instantly this is a special striker. Gyokeres now is about to hit his prime, and he's someone that's demonstrated and told the rest of Europe, I can win you trophies, I can win you titles, I can perform at the highest level internationally and in European football. And his record this season is absolutely nuts. In all competitions he's played, 33 goals in 24 games. You're looking at 16 goals in 11 domestic appearances, 5 goals in 4 CL games, scoring a famous hat-trick against Man City, 10 goals in 7 international appearances. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's scoring the opening goals, the winners, the important goals. I mean, he's scoring every type of goal you want to see. I mean, this guy is a devastating mix of pace, power. He strikes fear in defenders with his relentless movement off the ball. When he has momentum on his side, he is incredibly difficult to stop in his tracks. And outside of his power, his pace, and that strong mentality he has. I mean, this guy is also a football player. Very direct dribbles. He knows how to use his frame, body. He can turn any direction just like that. And he has that intelligence to know how to move the ball, how to find teammates in behind, how to link the play. Good aerial threat, good at holding the ball. I mean, the percentiles, when you're getting 99 for every crucial stat, that tells you everything that you need to know. So listen, if this report really has some meat to it, who says no to Gyokeres in January? I think the only one who says no is Nicholas Jackson. And it goes back to this debate that we seem to be having every single window now. Do you sign a striker to replace Nicholas Jackson and affect his development? Because some people may feel Nini. For a big club, man, you'd have to have 2 top strikers. I get it. But realistically, unless you're planning to use both strikers together in the same team, naturally, someone is going to be affected. Naturally, someone is going to miss out on minutes. And normally, when you're the hot property that's been bought for big money, you tend to get prioritized first because the club have more of a responsibility to force you in the team. So it's very interesting because recently it has been revealed that the club do see Nicholas Jackson as one of the top 3 strikers in the league. I think that is more than fair. I think Nico had a great educational season last season. Wasn't perfect, but he learned a shit ton. And this season, he's really demonstrating the talent and potential he has. And you think to yourself, if you gave Nico another 3 years to get to 26 years old, the same age as Gyokeres, would he not be doing similar things? Are we really expecting Victor to sign for us in a new league, new teammates, and instantly maintain the scoring form that he's had at Sporting Lisbon when everything is kind of played towards him? I'm not too sure. I feel like there's so many angles around this conversation. I'm sure that this won't be the last time I'm discussing Gyokeres, but listen, there's a few ways you can see things right. On one hand, could this potential arrival be the Didier Drogba moment for Nicholas Jackson? Because Didier had Shevchenko, he had Fernando Torres. There was always a big money striker at the club, always targeted. Every single window Drogba was there. Yet Drogba still asserted himself as that top drug. I'm terrible with the pun state, but you know what I'm saying. He asserted himself, and even though he won that battle, I look back and I think, was that £80 million we spent on your Shevchenkos, Torres, players in which we never received close to that amount of money back when we actually sold them? Did it really benefit the team as a whole to have, all these incredible striker options? Would it not have benefited us if we had targeted other areas in the team and invested that amount of money in different areas? I think there's interesting conversations everywhere. Of course, being a fan of the game, I mean, who's not going to think about what Gyokeres could look like? I mean, can you imagine Palmer and him scoring in the same games together? The setup, bro, that would be an absolute movie. We could be kickstarting a new Hollywood era at the football club. But at the same time, I feel like there has to be a degree of responsibility when big funds are invested. Yes, I'd imagine this means that Nkunku is set to go. As I'm stressing, unless we are planning to use both Nico and Victor in the same lineups together, I do feel like there could be maybe potential dangerous territory we find ourselves in. And I'm curious how Nico may feel if he knows that from the end of next season, there's going to be a new boss in town. He may feel, listen, the season hasn't ended. What if I get 25 goals at the end of the season? How is he going to feel knowing the fact that there's a potential replacement that's been secured ahead of him? Is he going to feel secure here? Or could we make the mistake of encouraging other clubs who need strikers to potentially start having conversations with Nicholas Jackson, maybe distracting him, affecting his form? I mean, you just don't really know. So let's see what more comes from these reports. But in my opinion, at the moment, and this opinion may change in the future, I would be surprised if we're really serious about spending big money to secure Gyokeres a season in advance, especially when we're seeing that Nicholas Jackson's getting better, but most importantly, that we're now getting goals from other areas in the team. So yeah, my friends, how do you guys feel about this? Let us know where your opinions are in the comments below. And to end things with a final story, TalkSport revealed that we are set to make a move to re-sign former Chelsea defender Marc Guehi in the next summer window. Now, what makes the story interesting is that Marc's contract expires in 2026. He's close to his final 12 months at Crystal Palace, and Palace have said if you don't commit to signing a contract extension, we're forced to sell you in 2025, and if they sell him, they'll be selling Guehi for a bargain fee. So is there any surprise that could alert us to potentially making a move to re-sign our former player? Not only does he have homegrown status, but we are expecting to see more reshuffling in defence, with Disasi being one of the favourites now to make a move elsewhere. Badiashile also is attracting interest from other clubs, and if either one or both do leave, then naturally we'll be in the market to sign a replacement, even though we have Anselmino coming through as well. So let's watch the space. Personally, I always thought it was ridiculous that we allowed Guehi to leave for the price we did, but it's a funny game. Wouldn't it be amazing if somehow he found himself back at the football club for a very affordable fee, because we also have clauses attached in that deal when we sold him to Crystal Palace, which can reduce our potential bids for him even more. With us loaning Trevor Chalobah out to Crystal Palace, I guess it was a decent, goodwill gesture. Could that put us in the running now to make an attempt to re-sign Marc Guehi? Let's watch the space. I think Marc is a great, classy, intelligent defender who should be playing at a higher level. There's a reason why he wasn't as inclined to sign for Newcastle. He should be playing Champions League football. He is an England international player. And again, if Disasi and others leave, I think he's probably the best replacement alternative for these defenders. And I think having him, Wesley, Colwell, Anselmino potentially, and Tosin, I think that's a pretty strong, well-balanced, tactical, technical, fast, and quality defense to have on your team. So let's watch the space. And on that note, my friends, I'm going to end the video today. I'm going to keep things moving. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please share your thoughts and opinions on these stories today. And I'll catch you guys again tomorrow.